All right, welcome everyone. Good morning. Brad and I will be your hosts this morning. We're here to talk about everyone's favorite buzzword, AI, and more importantly, trying to make that a little bit simpler, demystify that a little bit, and also make it to show you some practical ways that you can help it to boost your small business in particular. Both Brad and I represent the Invent Penn State organization, which is Penn State's arm for economic development. Just two particular aspects of Invent Penn State I want to share a little bit about this morning. First and foremost, Invent Penn State has a network of Launchbox locations all across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So there is one attached to all of the campuses. There are 24 now altogether. So from wherever you're joining in, there should be a Launchbox location near you. All of those Launchboxes are there to serve their communities, to support small business ownerships with a number of programs, speakers, coaching, mentoring, any kind of help and support that you need if you are a small business owner. Launching your business in those first couple of years, trying to grow, we are there to help and support you in any way that we can. So again, depending on where you're located, we have a number of locations. You can check out your closest Launchbox. And also, if you are dialing in today as a veteran, then Penn State also serves as the Veterans Business Outreach Center for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So we have a number of special programs that we can offer in conjunction with the SBA or the U.S. Small Business Administration that we can offer you specifically. If you are a veteran, there are a number of programs and services that are available to you for your participation as well. So again, at any point, feel free to reach out to any of your Launchbox locations. But with that, I will turn it over to Brad. He's going to be our presenter for today. And again, he's here to demystify AI for you.
Thank you,
Right.
Joanna.
You should be able to share your screen now.
All right, perfect. Let's see. I am going to do that. All right, Joanna, just let me know if there are any audio or video issues here. I believe I probably have to move that dashboard. There we go. So
It looks all good.
great.
Just one thing before you start. If anyone has Q&A along the way, we do have the Q&A open. Please just type your question into the Q&A section at the bottom of Zoom. I will be monitoring that. I'll just pause Brad at some good points to answer those questions along the way.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll just reinforce on that. Stop me as we go along. If you have a question, something we're talking about, something we're doing, let's just address it right there. I'd prefer that. And we can have kind of a virtual conversation. Yes, yeah, you can have copies of the slides. I'll share those out afterward. I also have a perfect segue. Thank you. I also have up on the screen right now a hyperlink and a QR code. That links to kind of a takeaway document. Everything that we do in the presentation today is linked in that document, including example and sample prompts for all the different types of things that we're going to be talking about today that hopefully you'll find some value. So, welcome. Thank you for coming out this morning. My name is Brad Zdenek. I am the Director of Economic Development Student Programs with Invent Penn State. And I have the privilege of being able to help support all those launch boxes that Joanna was talking about, as well as all the other types of economic development work that Penn State does across the Commonwealth. My background was that I had spent about 10 years in artificial intelligence specifically, helping build prototypes and minimal viable products of AI solutions to the world's problems, kind of AI for good work. That started in 2012 before a word like ChatGPT was even known. It was before things really blew up and AI becoming popular amongst large groups of people and general use. Back then, it was still specialists with specialist machines and the like. But I've had the privilege to be able to watch this AI revolution come to fruition. But what I've also noticed is that there's a lot of misunderstanding of what these tools are, what they do, how they work. And honestly, I could teach an entire course on AI applications. But we've got an hour today, probably 45 minutes, 40 minutes, because I want to leave some time for Q&A. So we're going to focus in today on a few specific things, and particularly practical applications for small business owners. It can apply to even very early stage entrepreneurs who maybe just have an idea but haven't done much with it yet, to help them de-risk and demystify the entrepreneurial process. But what we're going to do today is kind of walk through specific examples. Like I said, I want this to be as useful to you as possible. So please do not feel bad and do not hesitate to pop up a window with your favorite AI tool, which we'll talk about some in a minute if you don't know. Launch up your favorite AI tool and do some of this work while we're talking about it. Iterate with me, work on it, enter some of the prompts as I'm putting things in, experiment. That is the way that you learn about AI and how it applies. So with that said, let it jump in. So, to start, let's acknowledge that there's a lot out there. It's natural to feel overwhelmed, confused, maybe even disappointed if you've used a couple of these tools and your first foray into the AI revolution didn't go so well. But that's why you're here, and that's what I'm going to try to give you a bit of a roadmap to get you started, to kind of cut through all of these tools and all of these functionalities and all of the jargon that sometimes you run into with AI. Particularly since the advent of what is called a generative AI in the fall of 2022. AI now seems to be everywhere, with tools that promise to do all sorts of spectacular things. Sometimes those promises are real, sometimes they're not. I'm not here to convince you that, this is some sort of absolutely game-changing technology, although it is. Or even exactly what it is underneath the surface. If you ever want to, we can grab a cup of coffee together sometimes and I can put you to sleep with all those types of details. But that's not what we're doing today. What I want to convince you of today is that this can be an extremely powerful and useful tool to help augment your abilities, the things that you already do. Going back all the way to 2012, I used to work a lot with IBM and their AI tool called Watson. And they never liked the term artificial intelligence. They always wanted to call it augmented intelligence, because it's about taking what you're not good at and handing it off to an AI and allowing you to dive deeper into what humans are good at, the messy, the complex, the interpersonal. The idea is that you can do more, better with less. And this illustration, I think, kind of encapsulates that. I am the worst artist. I might be able to draw a stick figure. But with the power of AI, I can take the picture that I have in my head and get it out on paper, because it can help augment my very rudimentary abilities. The technology is advancing super quick. A year ago, prompt to video technology was only available to select few, usually behind researcher paywalls. Now, any of you can go to a site like Sora.com and generate a video like this in minutes. This is not a real person. This person has never existed, never will. I put in a prompt of an older distinguished gentleman with a beret sitting in a cafe on a crowded street. And this was the AI video that was generated within about a minute and a half. You can immediately start to think about some of the potential here for augmenting your abilities as a small business owner to be able to create marketing assets, to be able to create small commercials, to create social media content. The possibilities are endless. But the one thing that I do want to make clear up front is that in the end, these are tools, and that is it. I am not a believer, I am not a doomsayer that believes that, number one, the Terminator kind of approach to all of this. We're not there yet, maybe in 30 years, but we're not there yet. But I also don't believe that any of these tools are going to replace humans. But the humans, the professionals who use these tools are going to replace those who do not. I noticed while looking through the participants today, Ron, you've got an AI note taker that's in on this meeting right now. That's the kind of idea I'm talking about. These tools that can do something for you to augment your own abilities. Individuals who embrace that and use those tools are going to be able to do so much more than those that don't. And when we're talking about small business owners, you've got to have competitive advantages. If you do not leverage these tools and your competitors do, you are at a significant disadvantage. So that's what I'm trying to convince you of today and give you the skill sets to kind of get started on that. So while AI is a tool, it comes in lots of different forms. Some are specialized and some are much more for general use. That image I showed a minute ago of the 1,000 different icons from the different tools, those are all specialized tools that do one or two things really well. What we're going to use today, what we're going to talk about today are kind of the general tools. What are called large language models, LLMs. ChatGPT is a perfect example of that. And ChatGPT has almost become a genericized term for all these types of general AI tools. Today, like I said, I'm going to encourage you to play along as we go. Try the tools, trying the prompts, experimenting. And you can use any LLM you like. If you use ChatGPT already, please log into it, have it on the side, work with it. If you don't have one that you've used before, I've got a couple suggestions for you. Like I said, ChatGPT being one of the first. Claude AI is another really powerful AI tool that has relatively generous free access. So you can go to claude.ai and access their tool. Notebook LM, again, I could do an entire presentation on Notebook LM. It is an extremely powerful AI tool that allows you to upload a slew of your own documents and limit the responses it gives to the information you provide, which is really, really helpful and useful. And it can be used to create powerful analytics. It can be used as an organizational tool. It can be a little bit more confusing to use. So if you haven't used it before, maybe you can try it at a different time. But this first time today may not be the chance. The other tool that Google has in the AI space is called Gemini. Again, that's a good one to use. But the one that I'd recommend if you don't have a tool already, the one I'd recommend for use today is called Copilot. It's by Microsoft, leveraging ChatGPT technologies. If you don't already have one, this is a good one to start with. It's got a generous amount of free use. It will do a nag screen the first time you use it to ask you to log in using your Microsoft account, but you don't have to. You can just ignore that prompt and it'll still work for you. If you do log in, it gives you some more advanced functionality like image and video generation, but you don't have to do that for today's uses. So the big question on the table is, all right, that's all well and good, but how's it going to help me? What can it do for me as an individual or as a business owner or as an entrepreneur? Well, the answer is really limited primarily by your imagination. Today, we're going to talk specifically about the ways to use generative AI to help with the basic needs of small business, but the skills and tips that you're going to be practicing are applicable to any area of your business life, your personal interests, or world domination if you're so inclined. It can be used for just about anything. So let's dig in. Most of you are familiar with this point with chatbots. We've been using them for years. They're kind of sort of AI, but not really. But unfortunately, we've probably also gathered a lot of very negative experiences about AI through those interactions with, quite honestly, usually poorly designed chatbots. Tools like Copilot are similar to chatbots in that you can directly converse with them, ask them questions, but they are incredibly more powerful than what you're used to in those kind of customer service chatbots. The thing to understand with these modern AI tools is that they're very similar, or you have to think about them like sitting across the table from a world expert in every known topic. That paradigm shift of thinking about this tool as a person sitting across a table from you can be really, really powerful. That expert can be very dense at times and not understanding you when you ask it things, but it is a knowledgeable ally nonetheless. What many of us start with when conversing with that expert is some sort of prompt like this. So say you had a desire to know your audience a little bit better. Either you've already opened your business and you're looking to expand your customer base, Or you're an entrepreneur, you haven't started your business yet, and you're wondering who your customer is going to be. You want to get a better understanding of them, whether for marketing purposes or whether for inventory purposes, whatever the case may be. Um, we might ask a simple, straightforward question like this to the chatbot. Generate a customer persona for a niche market and high-end coffee shops. I'm going to be using a coffee shop example today. Uh, that's all well and good. That's fine. But what if we get a little bit more specific? What if we try to understand a little bit more about, or help the expert understand a little bit more about what we want? So we can go from kind of this idea um, of identify potential target audience in Eastern PA that might be interested in buying coffee to generate a customer persona in a niche market for a high-end coffee shop. A little bit more detail there. But the thing is, we can do even better than that. When you're sitting across the table from an expert, you wouldn't give them just a generic request. You wouldn't say to them, I'm going to pay you $50 an hour in order to generate a profile of a niche market for high-end coffee shops. You'd give them details. You would talk to them for 20, 30 minutes about what you want. And that's what we have to do with these tools. So for understanding our audience, what if we were to put in a prompt like this? You are a marketing professional at a new startup conducting market research to better understand your customer. Please look at the first thing that we did there. The first thing that we did there was we said, you are a marketing professional. We told the tool who it is. Like I said at the beginning here, these tools can be an expert in anything, but sometimes that's a disadvantage. Sometimes you have to tell the tool who and what it is, and it will provide you with a better response when you do that. They can kind of be chameleon experts, if you will, and you have to help them find their identity. Then we also tell it what to include. So again, if you were paying an expert $50 an hour sitting across the table from you, you wouldn't just trust them to create what you want. You would tell them what you want out of them. You would tell them how you were going to evaluate their work. Do the same thing for the tool. Here we say we want descriptive narrative elements of who that customer is. Then, we'll get back to this in just a second, we tell it to give this person a name, this customer that it identifies. We say, give it a name for easy reference. And we'll get back to that in just a second. But let's take a look at what this actually looks like. So, hopefully you should be able to see my screen still. So this is this is Copilot. And you will see here, I put in my exact prompt that I had up on the screen. And what it gave me was this really interesting profile of a customer. Now, one thing you'll notice in here, I specified State College, Pennsylvania as the area where my business is located. It created that profile for me. It tells me all about this person, Sophia Reynolds, a 32-year-old marketing manager. It gave me demographics on who this person was, gave me psychographics on who that person was, tells me what they value, what their motivations are, the challenges that they face, and the marketing implications for my business for that kind of customer. The only problem here is when I read this and I see that Sophia Reynolds is a 32-year-old marketing manager at a local tech firm in State College, Pennsylvania. I live in State College, Pennsylvania. There are not a lot of tech firms with marketing managers at them. My customer base here is definitely less than 100 people, probably less than 50 people, maybe even less than 30. They kind of missed the mark here. And this is where you have to change the way you interact with these tools. And the first aha moment I usually see with individuals as they learn how to use AI tools properly. Because it gave me all this information. I did not quit in frustration and say, well, that was junk, and move on and say these tools don't work. What I did was say, that's great, but I don't think there are many marketing managers at tech firms in State College, Pennsylvania. Please research the demographics and industries of the area and provide me with another profile matching the more common types of customers I would likely see in my shop. And then you'll see it do a little mea culpa here. Oh, you're right. There probably aren't many people like that. Here is the type of person you're likely to see. And then all of a sudden it generates for me a new breakdown of who my customer might be. Now it is a 24-year-old graduate student pursuing a master's in environmental science. Those are the types of people I'm going to see around State College, Pennsylvania. And most likely the types of people that I'm going to see in my high-end coffee shop. So the key here is that many people try a one-and-done approach with these tools. They don't get that paradigm shift of a dialogue with the tools. You've got to follow up. And when I asked the tool to create a name for easy reference for that individual, that makes it easy for me to have multiple prompts afterwards saying, tell me a little bit more about Ethan. Do you think Ethan would like? And then I can provide some suggestions of things that I would serve. Would they like a brunch? Do you think Ethan would be buying coffee mugs and bagged coffee? And I can have a dialogue with the tool where it is referencing demographic data, market data from my industry, and giving me some responses based on that target customer identified. And I can do that again and again and again for multiple types of customers. So you might be starting to see a couple of the possibilities here, but let's give it another whirl, okay? You should already be able to see the issue with this prompt right here. Let's move on to kind of content creation. One of the big frustrations with a lot of small business owners, you're expected to have new content up on your website. You're expected to be on social media, doing posts all the time. Most of us don't like doing that. And it is just a bear. It's a lot of work. So content creation is a really good place to use these AI tools. But the problem here is, can you imagine telling that $50 an hour marketer to do this and then walking away? Say, write a blog about coffee. You never do that. So you'd probably get a reaction like this as soon as you told that person across the table. They would look at you like, yeah? So let's do a little bit better. How about I define some terms? I say, I want a 2,000-word blog article. And I tell it what I want it to be focused on. Drinking high-quality coffee. And I give it a tone. Make it funny and engaging, because I'm a funny and engaging kind of guy. And that's what I want this to be. Now I might get a little bit better response. And honestly, this one is usually passable. But we can do better, because I'm not about creating moderate use of this. I want you to be a pro. So let's look at what a pro prompt might look like. Now, a couple of the things are still in here, the 2,000 words, the tone, all of that. But another really powerful use of these tools is this. You can upload context for your questions and for your prompts in most tools. There are a couple tools that do require you to have a paid account to be able to upload documents, but not all. Copilot allows it to a certain extent. So in my case, I kind of switched to my pro version of ChatGPT, and I uploaded a past blog post that I had written on my own, before these AI tools were being used, something I had written on my own, had my own voice, my own vocabulary, my own tone. And I asked the tool to copy my tone and vocabulary style. And it can do that with amazing fidelity. One of the great concerns is that in the era that we are with using AI tools, everything sounds AI generated, and it does. If you leave it to its own devices, AI, these large language models have a particular tone and cadence. Many of you might have heard about the M dash, the double dashes. It is a common indication of use of AI, although it really frustrates me because I was a huge M dash user before AI came around, and now with my background in AI and use of M dashes, everybody thinks everything I write is done by AI. But there are some hallmarks of AI generated content, but you can get around that by giving your own writing samples and asking it to mimic that. You could also, instead of uploading a document, you could also point it toward your existing Instagram account, or Twitter, or X, or Facebook, or wherever platform you're on, and say, mimic the tone of my past posts, and it will mimic your style. I also specify a little bit more about what I want the article to be focused on. Any good marketer would say, what's your call to action? So I tell it what my call to action. This is the thing that I wanted to do. I want people to come to my ABC coffee shop, and get customers in the door. So now it has a purpose, it has a context, and it understands the intent that you have behind your ask. This is the kind of thing you would say to that expert across the table. So this is the way we treat these AI tools. All right. Couple tips that we've kind of covered all along, but I want to keep recalling back to some of these main points, these salient points we should be focusing on. One of them, the way to get the most out of these tools is to provide context and examples everywhere that you can. You cannot give it too much information. You see the difference between those novice prompts and those pro prompts. They go from 4, 5, 6, 7 words to 5, 6, 7 sentences. I've had 3 or 4 paragraph prompts before to be able to get some of the really detailed output I want from these tools. You cannot give it too much information. You have to be clear about what you want. Do not make the AI guess. Like I said, these can be very dense experts at times, and it will give you what it thinks you want. And by what I mean by what it thinks you want, it doesn't think. It's a statistical model. It is guessing what the next best word is in a series, and it does not understand who you are, what your intent is. It's trying to make you happy by giving you what it thinks statistically you want. So define it for the tool so that it can give you what you want on the first or second try. And always explain your metrics for success, because it wants to please you. That is how it is programmed. So if you tell it what a successful output is, it will build the response to that expectation. Many people just have an assumption that the tool will give you what you want. So I think you kind of get the points of the levels of detail. So we're going to go through just a couple of kind of the expert prompts on a few different other uses of this tool. Another thing that is often very frustrating for small businesses is email marketing. It is also a very great strength of tools like Copilot. In this case, we're setting the topics and cadence for an overall campaign, but you can also zoom in and use a tool for developing just a killer subject line for your email or things like that. Also note one other thing that I do in this prompt. I didn't highlight them. I asked the tool to go out and look at my website in order to generate the content itself. Most of the modern LLM tools are capable of this, even without a premium plan. But some of them are better at it than others. Copilot and ChatGPT tend to be very good at this. Notebook LM is phenomenal at this. But you'll see, I tell it to go out to my coffee or my coffee website and look at my events page and create an email campaign based on the events that I have coming up. I don't have to tell it, I've got this event called this on this date at this time. It will go and scrape your website and pull that information out for you and do it automatically. And then I, point it toward my blog saying, if I'm talking about my grand opening or my ribbon cutting, or I'm talking about some great accomplishment I've had, it will pull that context from there and turn it into email campaigns that you can send out. You can also, of course, do this with social media campaigns, any sort of forward-facing marketing that you might be doing. You can have the AI generate all that content for you. If you ever do a deep dive on search engine optimization, this can be very expensive. There are a lot of consultants out there that do this. It is also an area that most people don't have expertise in, but can be highly impactful for both the content that you put out on social media as well as what you have on your website, if you have a website. These LLMs are very, very good as being SEO experts and helping to craft an effective SEO strategy. So as you'll see here, kind of another example, I give it details. I say 10 SEO keyword strategies. I tell it who I am, a local coffee shop, what I'm trying to do, gain more visibility, and I tell it who my audience is. I'm trying to attract young professionals, and it can provide me with all those details about how to improve my SEO. If I've already got a website, I can incorporate what I said earlier. I can point to my own website and say, don't do this in the abstract. Go to this website and tell me how I can improve it. You can also do this for content, asking, what haven't you talked about on your website? What might you highlight? What audiences are you missing in your messaging? Is your tone good? Any grammatical errors? Those types of things. AI can do that audit for you quickly and easily and provide you detailed suggestions of how to improve your web presence. You can also do this instead of a website, insert your social media feed, and you can do the same thing there. Now, this, to me, is where the real wow of generative AI tools are. They are extremely good at conducting market analysis. Now, being in economic development, being associated with Penn State, I've got access to professional tools like CB Insights that can do absolutely amazing things. But that said, sometimes I just prefer the simplicity of a chat dialogue that allows me to go back and forth with questions and kind of dig into insights. Another thing that you can do here is ask it to cite its sources. This allows you to both validate the information being given to you as well as to dig deeper if you want. You can tell it, my button there, you can tell it when you're doing market research what to focus on. This is what I want, okay? And if you find any potential problems or risks to my business based on these new market trends, let me know some more details about it. And let me keep you honest. Show me the URL citations for all of the data that you pull. There is something called, a term you might hear, is something called AI hallucinations. It is kind of anthropomorphizing AI, but it's this idea that AI at times can give you wrong answers and be adamant that it is telling the truth, when in actuality, it just completely made everything up. Very famous example of this was an attorney got caught when he submitted a brief, and when the judge went through the brief, found that every citation to past cases that he cited were not actual cases that ever existed. The AI that the lawyer had used to create the brief had completely made up all of the cases in order to support the argument that he was trying to make. So sometimes you have to work to keep these AI tools honest. And sometimes the stakes are a little higher than others, such as, if you're trying to defend a client. But one way around that is saying, you know what? Show me your evidence. Point me to the websites where you got all this information. And the AI tool will do exactly that. It will give you all the URLs that then you can click on and read this information yourself and learn more. But the power here for a small business in a quickly developing climate and environment to be able to do regular market analysis without having to engage high cost either tools or individuals is extremely powerful, because you don't have a ton of time as an entrepreneur. You're doing too much. You're focused on 50 different things, and keeping your eye on the existing market and disruptors in that market is just not something you typically have time for. AI can help you do that in seconds. You can have a prompt that you save. I've got a Word document full of prompts that I use again and again and again. Once a month, once a quarter, copy paste that prompt into your AI tool and have it do some more market research for you. Look at who your customers are, changing demographics, changing competition, help you understand who your competitors are and the environment in which you're competing. It is extremely powerful in doing that. Now, the things that you'll see in this one, we ask, tell the AI who it is, or we define it. We've said, be a marketing expert, be an expert in market analysis. We tell the AI who it is to get a better response. We tell it what you want. So we tell it what are the metrics by which we're going to be judging you. You provide context and websites. And you also give it a tone and personality, because especially when you're generating any sort of content that you're going to put public facing, you want it to match your tone. You don't want it to be overly academic if you're looking for a casual tone. You don't want it to be casual if you're being academic. If you're using AI to put together materials to request a bank loan, you probably don't want it cutting jokes. If you are creating social media content, you might want it to be a little lighthearted and not be talking like it's speaking to a banker or a lawyer. So provide that tone of personality for it. And you can ask it to cite sources so that you have an idea where it's gotten all of its information. So those are a few of the examples of where you can apply this, but there is so much more. I started this presentation with some AI generated images, so I thought I'd kind of end our prompt deep dive there as well. As entrepreneurs, you have to have a broad diversity of skill sets, but graphic design is a tough one if you're not so inclined. You saw my drawing skills at the beginning of this presentation. That is not my skill set. But our AI experts are here to help. As always, if you can accurately describe what you want, what's in your head, it can do a pretty good job of giving it to you. For me, sometimes I just need a few design ideas, and then I can do the technical design work. I know the tools. I can do that to generate the asset myself using Canva or Illustrator or any of those tools. The idea is that fast iterating can be really, really easy with a tool like Copilot. So here I've got a prompt. I've got an event coming up on Wednesday, every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. at my coffee shop. I do a sip and sketch. And I want some posters or flyers that I can throw onto my social media or post about town to try to get people to come out to that. The only problem is I have no ability to be able to conceptualize what a nice looking poster would look like. So I create a really detailed prompt here for my AI model. And you'll see I give all the different details and the best practices that we've talked about. I tell it who I am. I tell it what the event is. I tell it to create something eye-catching and printable. I want it to be artistic and welcoming. I give it tone. I give it the details of when it's happening, and I give it my call to action. I want to encourage community creativity and relaxation and get people to come out to this event. So what does it give me? Well, the first about 5 times it gave me junk, stuff that was completely unusable. But after my 6th iteration, because remember, it's a dialogue with these tools, like I said, on the 6th iteration, it came up with this. That's not bad. It is a heck of a lot better than I could do myself. This is what I got. And the thing is, each time you ask the same exact thing, you're going to get a different prompt. This is not a call and response tool. It's too complex to go into here, and you probably, quite honestly, don't care. But there's a lot going on in the background to generate these responses that have to do with statistical models of prediction. So every time you send that same prompt in, you're going to get a different output. And as I did that, I kept getting things that looked a little bit different and different iterations on the same prompt. The power of that is that you can just keep asking until you get what you're looking for, or until you get a hot mess of garbage like the one on the right side there that's got great ideas, but look at the text. I don't know what was happening there, and neither did it. It did a very poor job in getting my text. Did a great job in the first 2. But quite honestly, the 3rd one, I like the tone and feel of that one. So then I can take that idea, go into Canva, and create the tool, create the flyer myself with a nice, images that Canva has, and I can take elements of this and put it together. It is augmenting my abilities rather than replacing me as the generator of this content. But it sure is helpful in getting me from here to there. It takes care of what's called the blank page syndrome, the staring at a blank page and being afraid to make that first pen stroke, that first idea down. AI takes care of that for us and helps us to get those creative juices moving. So what else? It can do a lot. And the thing that I said in the beginning is it's limited by your imagination. Here are a couple other things that often come up when I do workshops. I do a lot of hands-on workshops where we actually sit down, everybody with their laptops open, and we go back and forth on prompts. And these are the things that I often hear come up in those hands-on workshops from business owners. One of the first ones is always funding. If it's a nonprofit, they're looking for grants. If it is a small business, they're looking for business loans. Sometimes they're looking for investors, all sorts of different things. But funding is a great use of these tools, especially to iterate on ideas. So here I'm looking for a grant. I say, help me draft a grant application narrative. I tell it exactly who I am, where I am. It tells me, or I tell it what type of grant that I'm applying for. If I had the URL, the website of the grant, I could post that in there and say, this is the actual grant call for proposals, and tailor the narrative to this grant. I could give it a ton of more information and kind of get that first application narrative. Pricing. A lot of businesses struggle, both service and product, have trouble identifying what their pricing is, what their pricing structure is. So this is another use where you can do some of this integration of market analysis to be able to identify what is ideal pricing structure and perhaps price points for the products that you are delivering to your customers. Here I say, using pricing data from my region, please provide a strategic pricing strategy for my coffee or my coffee offerings, including, and I could talk about my fresh brew, I could talk about pre-brewed, I could talk about my merchandise, my coffee cups, my pre-ground beans, whatever I'm looking for. And then I can think a dialogue, back and forth, multiple iterations, multiple questions, long threads of dialogue with the AI tool, and it will continue to build on its past answers. Product development and innovation. I like this one because I love, just noodling on new ideas. That's part of my job, and I get to work with a lot of innovative people doing just this. Sometimes going into an AI and asking it to give you some ideas for a new product category can be really, really inspiring. And then you take it from there. Again, it's augmenting your abilities. And in particular, you'll notice on this product development innovation prompt I have here, I ask it to base its suggestions based on recent customer reviews of my product or my offerings or my shop. So it can go into, say, Google reviews if you've got a storefront. It can look at the feedback that you have gotten from customers in your Google reviews and perhaps identify either gaps in your offerings or provide some iterations on things that you already do offer that would better align with the express customer needs. Really, really powerful stuff that very often we don't have time to do, but with an AI tool, it brings it down to seconds to do that research. If you're very early stage and you're doing pitches, AI is great at giving you feedback on pitch decks. You can upload your PowerPoint and just say, give me some feedback on this. What do I need to do? Base it on the most successful pitch decks in this industry or this sector, and it will give you specified feedback on your pitch deck. And then last, kind of strategy. One of the things that I often say when I'm working with companies, especially very young companies, is that AI may not apply for every business model. It does not apply for every business model. But if you're not thinking about it, you've got a problem. You may be able to dismiss it genuinely, but you better be thinking about how artificial intelligence might be impacting your overall business model. And even in places where it seems like it wouldn't. Coffee shops are an example. But AI can be a disruptor in just about every market. And you've got to be thinking about what that looks like. Ironically, AI can help you think about how AI is going to impact your business and your market. So engage it in that. And you can have a really good conversation. So I want to leave you, and I'm just about perfectly on time there. I want to leave you with a few tips and tricks, kind of the salient points to walk away with from all of this. First one, and most importantly, is understand that you iterate with these tools. It is not a one and done. It is not a, you get the first response, and if it's no good, you walk away. Push it, criticize its responses, ask it for more, give it more detail. Do not be afraid. It is not judging you. It has no conscience. It has no consciousness. It doesn't know what you're doing. You can ask what you feel are the dumbest questions in the world that you would never ask another human being, and you will get no judgment from the AI. It will help you answer those questions. So iterate in your dialogues with it. Give it examples. It helps it to understand what you are looking for and gives it a North Star to drive toward in its response. So if you're asking for marketing copy, give it examples of past marketing copy. If you are looking for business ideas, give it past business ideas you've got. If you're looking for a business plan, give it your drafts of your business plan to start from. Give it those types of examples to build off of. But be careful of hallucinations. AI can go wrong. Never, never have it generate something, immediately copy it, and paste it someplace to go out to the public. It is a recipe for disaster. AI will make mistakes left and right. You've got to do your due diligence and read back over things and verify the information that it gives you. It's an extremely powerful tool, but you have to be skeptical. One thing that helps with that is ask it to show its work. Tell it, give me the URLs. Explain how you came to that answer. Justify that answer for me. Interrogate the answer that it gives you in the dialogue, in that iterative chat. And you can make certain that you get the correct response. AI very often, these LLMs will very often come back and say, you know what, you're right. I was wrong in my response. Here's the right answer. And that next answer is probably wrong too. Push on it. And keep on going. If you're not getting the response that you like from the tool you're using, hop over to another AI tool. Try a different one. Same prompt, different tool. You might have better results. You never know. Refine the existing content. So this is, you already generated the stuff. You just want it to be a little bit better. You want it to flow better. You want it to sound more professional. You want it to be more witty, whatever. Generate the content yourself and then throw it at the AI and say, do some tweaks on this, or where could I improve it? Have that kind of back and forth dialogue on your own work. And let it know who you are. Some tools like ChatGPT, the paid version, you can actually define who you are, what your business is, and what your background is. And every single response it will give from that point forward will be based on its understanding of who you are. It's really, really powerful. But you don't have to do the paid version for that. You can just put that within the prompt. You can say, hi, my name's Brad. I am, and describe myself, and then ask for what I want out of it. And it will help tailor its response to who you are and what you might be looking for. But in the end, AI is a starting point. It is not a replacement. It is the place where you begin to get all of this. It is facilitating work for you. It is cutting down on the amount of time it takes to do things. It is doing large data analysis that you could never do on your own. But your expertise, your knowledge, and your mind share is required to make good use of what comes out of the AI. And never hesitate to ask for help. Joanna said at the very beginning, we've got 24 launch boxes across the state. There are a lot of other people that are not in the Launchbox network that are economic development and looking to help you succeed. The VBOC is there to help you, the SBDCs, Ben Franklin, also local community groups. There are all sorts of people that are rooting for you and trying to help you succeed. If you need help, reach out. Say, hey, I've been trying to use this AI thing. It's still not working for me. And we would be happy to sit down with you and help you through it. And I would be remiss to ignore the ethics side of things. My graduate studies were actually in educational ethics, and I have a lot of struggles with AI and the ethics of AI. But one place, and again, that's an entire long, boring conversation, but one thing that I will say that each and every one of us has to do is we have to decide where the line is for us for disclosure of use of AI. One of the things that I do, if I use AI to write an email, which sometimes I do, I have a little line that I put at the end of my email that says, this email was generated in collaboration with ChatGPT. And it's just my little thing that says, hey, by the way, I might have used AI for this. That is not required. There is no ethical standard. There's no legal standard. There's no best practice there. Each and every one of us has to decide where that line is for us and abide by that. So if you have a company and you're looking at leveraging AI, you should set a policy for your company as to what that line is. If you're an individual, you have to set it for yourself. But I'd encourage you to take 10 minutes and think that through and what you're comfortable with and how to disclose your use of AI. And that's it. Um, Thoughts, questions? I don't see anything in the Q&A right now. I'll take extra credit for anybody who identifies what's wrong with this AI generated image. Uh,
So, Brad, I do have a
yeah,
question, although I did not type it in the chat.
yeah,
First of all, I love the comment about AI is not judging you. I think that's always a good one to
yeah,
to keep in mind. But you, kind of in the early part of your presentation, you talked about sort of the general tools like ChatGPT and Copilot
yeah.
versus some of these very specific tools. Can you talk about like the pros and cons of just using a general one versus maybe choosing a very specific tool for a very specific application and maybe when that's most appropriate?
Yeah. So obviously the number one benefit of the general tool is that you're paying for it once. It is one tool that you pay for, and you can do a whole host of things. And quite honestly, the models are getting better and better and better. That the difference between the output or the quality of output between the specialist tools and the generalist tools is becoming thinner and thinner. But that said, the user interface for many of the specialist tools, especially some of the AI marketing tools, the interface is much easier to use and understand. It has some of these things pre-baked, so you don't have to write a 3-paragraph prompt. 2 paragraphs of that is already baked into the tool, and you just need to tell it a couple specific things, and it can do that for you. The specialist tools also sometimes incorporate what's called agentic AI, which we didn't get into here, but that is a type of AI that can actually do things for you, schedule appointments, add things to your calendar, automatically generate and send out emails, automatically post to your social medias. Um, the tools that we're talking about today don't have that level of agentic functionality acting as an AI agent for you. And some of the more specialized tools do. In fact, that's one of the big differentiators anymore with those tools. You also have things like we were talking a little bit earlier. There's a tool called LivePlan that is a business planning software. It is specialized for entrepreneurs who are building a business, for helping you do business plans and securing funding. And it kind of walks you through everything. Whereas with a generalist tool, you need to know what question to ask next. I see.
Thank
I
you,
see where
Susan. I
uh,
think we all got that the found the extra hand.
yeah, yeah.
There
Again,
is another question in here about someone asking, how do you balance using AI versus your own skills?
yeah. This again could be it's a whole separate presentation that I give, but we have to be very careful with this. In fact, a larger societal approach, we are starting to see some research that over reliance on AI is actually negatively impacting our own cognitive functioning. That they, I mean, to put it bluntly, people are getting dumber because they're using AI too much. We're less capable of higher order reasoning. It's very preliminary research that's got to be replicated, but it's enough to be somewhat worrisome. So that's kind of at the broad level. But bringing it down to this, you know, you as a business owner, your business is an extension of who you are, and it represents you in the world. And if you offload all of that to an AI, which is a statistical model, you start to lose some of that connection between who you are and what your business is, and makes you more generic and loses some of what you might have as a differentiator as the person that's running this business. So you have to have judicious use of AI. And as I kind of try to emphasize, using it as an augmentation of your own skills rather than a replacement of who you are and what you do. Uh, One great way of doing that, like I said, is to have it either use it just to get you started or to refine what you've already done. One thing that I do sometimes, if I need it to write a long form something, I'll say, give me the first 5 words of every paragraph for my application for a bank loan. You know, and then it will give me that beginning prompt for each paragraph, but I have to write the rest of it. But I find that just give me that little prompt gets me flowing, and then I can write super quick. So you can use AI in creative ways without taking away your agency as the entrepreneur and the person running the business. For the QR code, I'm not sure why you might be having problems there, but hold on. There's the link, and I believe Joanna will also send this out after the event. Oops. Uh, she'll send it out after the event as well, so you can have access to that.
Absolutely.
Any other questions? Oh, okay, yeah, I see the question there. Any other questions or anything I can help with? All right, then I will just say we are here. I am here. Joanna is here. The whole Launchbox Innovation Network team and VBOC team are here to help you in any way that we can. Never hesitate to reach out. All of our services are funded by the Department of Community and Economic Development, Pennsylvania. So we try to do everything free or low cost for you. So, no harm in engaging us and asking for help, and we will do everything that we can to assist.
All right. Thank you, everyone,
Oh,
for
uh,
joining. Oh, there was one question about, is it okay
sorry.
if you live in a different state?
Uh,
That probably is a problem, but in your state, there should be very similar organizations. One organization in particular that is nationwide is the Small Business Development Corporation. They are funded by the federal government through the SBA. A number of universities across the country have programs just like ours. So if you are in another state, just, kind of Google or Chat GPT and look for whatever the local resources are for you.
that's the spirit. Also, there's a VBOC for if you are a
Yep,
veteran. There's a VBOC in every single that covers every single state as well.
correct.
So I see when I make an image, who owns it? Do I? That is a very interesting question. It is murky at the moment. There is pending litigation in a number of different places on this, and each platform has its own terms and services, terms and conditions. So I would encourage you, for whatever platform you're using, read those T's and C's and see. For instance, Adobe Firefly, which is a very common image generator, has very open ownership rules, whereas a couple of the proprietary AI image generating tools claim ownership of anything anything that's created using your prompts. So, as with all answers, good answers, it depends. Make certain you read the T's and C's. All right. Oh, did I miss any? Nope, that's it.
Nope, I think that's it.
That's it. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.